Okay, this is problem 71 from chapter 8. We have this table with a block that is 8 kilograms over here on the table, and then we have a 0.5 kilogram piece of clay that is sliding into the block at 24 meters per second. And this height here from the table to the ground is 2.4 meters. We're wondering, when the clay hits into the block and they both come down to the ground, let's say they fall off and land here, what is the horizontal distance that they traveled? So we're looking for, I guess we'll say that's D. We're looking for that horizontal distance there. So the first thing we need to figure out is, what is the velocity of both these objects when they hit into each other and fall off the table? And the way we're going to do that, first, let me set up an equation here. We're going to have the first mass times the velocity of that mass plus the second mass times the velocity of that mass, and we're going to set that all equal to the first mass plus the second mass times the velocity. So this is what we're going to plug into. First mass times its velocity plus the second mass times its velocity, and we're going to set that equal to both the masses added together times the velocity. And then we'll solve for V2. And I'll plug those in just so you can see what that's going to look like. Okay, so we'll solve for the first part first. So this is just the left-hand side. We have our first mass, which is 8 kilograms, times its velocity, and it's not moving, so it's just 0. So this whole thing cancels out. So we just are left with 0.5 times 24, which is 12. And that's all equal to the first mass, which is 8, plus the second mass, which is 0.5. So we have, 8.5 is V2. And then we just want to solve for V sub 2, so we're going to divide this 8.5 over here. And so we'll say V2 equals 1.4 meters per second. So 1.4 meters per second is the velocity that these objects are both traveling together. And the next thing we need to figure out is the time that they spent traveling. And so that is just going to be the equation for that. To find the time is the square root, to find t, the square root of 2 times the height over gravity. And we know that the height is 2.4, so let's plug that in. We get the square root of 2 times the height, so 4.8 over 9.8. Let me make sure I do this right. Oh, I'm sorry, I got the height wrong. It's 2.2. 2.2, so we actually have 4.4. So let me calculate that real quick. We have 4.4 divided by 9.8. And we're taking the square root of that. So that's 0.67. And that's seconds. So we're in the air for 0.67 seconds. And then, now we have everything we need. So to find the distance, it's just the velocity times time. So we have 1.4 times 0.67. Give us some time. And so, this will give us our distance. Yeah. So the distance is about 0.94 meters. Almost 1 meter is the horizontal distance that this block and this piece of clay will travel when they go off the table.